Yes, I can. Can you hear me, Ginger?
Yes, you sound fantastic. So yes, as you pull up your presentation, can you give us a self-introduction?
Yes, absolutely. So, super stoked to be here, everyone. My name is Sandra Kenly. I'm the proud founder of Invest in You, where our goal is to help individuals and especially women and underrepresented populations become better and more confident versions of themselves. So before I go ahead and get my PowerPoint shared here, I wanted to go ahead and pop a couple links in the chat here. All right, so let's get ripping and rolling here. And thank you all for hanging in there. This has been such a phenomenal event. When Ginger had reached out and asked if I wanted to speak, I was like, absolutely. I am so here for women empowerment and providing resources for women to become better versions of themselves. So let me pop this guy into slideshow mode. Okay, can you see? Oop, gotta pivot the screen here. We'll share the other screen. Screen two. Okay, can you see my
Perfect.
screen?
Yes, that looks fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. So just to recap quick on my bio, I am an empowered professional speaker and trainer. My key focus points are within leadership and communication development. So I've spoken at various universities, at my alma mater at UW-Milwaukee. I'm originally from Milwaukee, or Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and went to school in Milwaukee and had relocated to Kansas City actually a couple of years back. But I really enjoy being a connector, love to travel. And that last bullet there is really key into the work that I do of just having a really big heart for people in hearing them out, listening and understanding where they're coming from so that I can be the best advocate for them and provide them the key resources needed for them to level up their game. So today I wanted to talk about the art of networking. So we're going to talk through what a good preparation looks like, what to do while you're in that event, whether that's physical or online as well. I kind of define even an event like this on an online forum and ability to connect with other individuals, especially within that comments section. I saw the comments were really coming in strong in the beginning with Anne, which was such a wonderful presentation, followed by an incredible panel there as well. So as you see names pop up, that's an ability to reach out and connect. So something that Cindy had mentioned in the panel was the goal is to develop meaningful relationships as it relates to networking. I find sometimes, especially if you're not directly correlated into a network or a corporate environment, usually networking's like, I just go and connect with a bunch of random people and then what happens? And I find it's in that what happens can be a very beautiful unfolding of meaningful relationships that are intentional. Also, as a business owner, I really enjoy going to networking events. Probably the past couple weeks, I've gone to between like 6 to 8 in that realm of just in-person networking events. So I'm very much in the bread and butter of continuing to develop my craft and being efficient as a networker, and also within that preparation. So maybe you're going to networking events, whether that is physical or an online forum, to find a new leader in your organization. Maybe you are an entrepreneur like myself and you're going to identify key leads and wanting to serve individuals in that capacity. Maybe you are just going for human interaction. To be honest, I know COVID was brought up a couple times. I remember coming out of COVID and feeling like a fish out of water, connecting with other humans. How do we do that? I feel like it took me a little bit to readjust, as I'm sure in some capacity we all felt that way after being so isolated within our homes. So the art of networking, I find, is truly developing meaningful, intentional, and present relationships so that we can really feed and connect with one another, because I find that we can accomplish more. There's more power in the collective than just being solo within ourselves. So the networking truly begins before you step into the event. So first and foremost, the attire. So what are you wearing? Because what you're wearing, how you're presenting yourself is the brand. It's the brand of your business. It's the brand of the company you work for, the role that you hold. You are you are the first impression truly as you're walking up and shaking hands with those individuals. The second piece is, what is the content you are wanting to share once you're actually in a circle or one-on-one with someone at a networking event. So I find this as like my 30-second pitch. And this is something personally I've really had to niche down on, also depending on the audience that I'm having a conversation with too. So for example, when I was first starting out networking as a new business owner, somebody would ask me, what do you do? Right? That's definitely the $1 million question that everyone's going to ask you in a networking event. And I would just say that I enjoy helping people become better. So I'm casting a pretty wide umbrella. So Sandra, what does that actually mean? So I narrowed that down a little bit more on, I help professionals like you increase their leadership efficiency and increase their company culture by providing communication training. So now I narrowed it down a little bit more, and something that I've noticed, especially in a sales process, is individuals want to feel special, we want to feel heard. So including just like you provides kind of that sense of common ground that you can create that sense of connection, even from a first impression standpoint. And anything that you could have a wow factor. And I will call this out to both the introverted as well as extroverted. I find that, anyone of any type of personality can have success in networking. You don't necessarily have to be extroverted to have success in it. And if you find yourself being a little bit more on the introverted side, which I'll actually kind of talk about in a slide coming up here, is leveraging your listening skills and how you can have that plant a seed for future. The third area I really recommend in that preparation are the questions you plan on asking the individuals that you're meeting. What are you wanting to extract? What type of struggles or gaps can you create opportunities or fill in for the individuals that you're meeting? So like I mentioned, if I'm having, let's say, conversations with CEOs of organizations, my language may be a little bit different versus having discussions with individual contributor level folks versus mid-level leaders that are managing a team, because the challenges and issues may look a little bit different of leaders leading leaders or leaders leading individual contributors or meeting individual contributors as well, and kind of asking questions to understand what their gaps are and seeing if there is a fit or an area of opportunity to potentially partner or build something together. And I'm talking a lot regarding business development, but this can also be in more of a personal setting too, from a hobby standpoint or from a creative standpoint as well. You can kind of shake and bake this as needed, depending on what your audience looks like, the size of the event, and the people that you're involved with. So the next piece in your preparation is, what is your handout? So I break this down in physical business cards or digital cards. I typically don't see people handing out flyers or anything like that in a networking event, but I had just broken down because probably a couple months ago, when I had gone to a networking event, somebody had popped out a digital card, and I'm like, what is that? So I list a handful of options here at the bottom. It's really finding the best, if you so choose to go the digital route. Personally, I have Blink. And on my next slide, actually, for the action takers that would like to connect and sign up for one that you would like to get exposure to right away. But I just lined up a couple pros and cons of having a physical card versus a digital card. And I have both. So I typically ask people when I'm asked if I have a card, I usually ask as a follow-up, do you prefer digital or physical? So that really gives the person that you're networking with the power to, to decide whatever their preference is. So that's something that I just want to call out here. So a pro, as you can see, is having something physical, right? Something tangible to walk away from. What I find, though, is with that being said, as easy as it was to get grabbed, as easy as it is to be left on the kitchen table or thrown away or forgotten, unless that individual that you give your card to creates a contact right away in their phone, sometimes your number doesn't always make it in the contact list. Over time, building up a lot of cards takes up space, right? I'm sure we've all probably felt that in some form or capacity. Where we move into a digital format, the pros are automatically getting saved in a contact list. You can typically enter notes. So something I really enjoy about Blink is your location and time of where you met is actually captured in the app itself. A couple cons I have found in my experience using digital apps is not everyone is privy into a digital app, so it does take time to kind of figure out how to use it. There are multiple apps to choose from. So like I mentioned, I really enjoy working with action takers. So for those, if you got your smartphone here, I did just want to pull up my QR code for Blink. So for this specific example, in the middle screen there, you can see the cards, so you can build in your own branding. So Invest in You LLC is what you see on the top there. My picture and then all of my contact information is also there. So after someone scans the QR code, so I feel free to go ahead and do that. It will have you save the contact. And then after, it will actually pop up. Now you can switch information with Sandra. So it'll have you put in your first and last name, your email, and your phone number, and any other information that you want to include on there. And then the other bonus piece that I had mentioned on the slide before was it does actually store a contact list. So when I open up Blink, and I realized I hadn't put a screenshot in this, I don't know if you can actually see that, but there is a listing here of contacts, and it shows, where we met each other. You can actually put in notes as well. So usually I'll say like, hey, we met at the Empower Link event, or we met at a LinkedIn local, etc. So I have found Blink to be a very incredible way to create connections quickly, and also kind of explain a new fun app. So hopefully you all find that helpful. So moving on. So now you have entered the physical or virtual room. I know sometimes, and I'm bringing a lot of energy here just because I've been so giddy all day to do this. Sometimes I know it takes a lot of energy out of myself to go in and give of myself and have multiple conversations. So sometimes you just have to be your own hype woman before you walk in. So it's like, Sandra, you got this, go in there, own the room, hold that confidence within yourself. So sometimes I just personally need to do that. So I recommend being your own hype woman. The other piece is having a firm handshake. As I'm sure this is probably relatable for a lot of people too. I forget names, or, I'm so bad with names. I'm a huge proponent of the words that you speak is what you cascade into your subconscious mind. So if your subconscious mind knows that, hey, I don't remember names well, you're probably not gonna remember names. So own that initial handshake. I like to repeat the name of the person I'm introducing myself to, and even if it's a group. because you'll find yourself sometimes in networking events having, usually it's one-on-one, but sometimes you may join a group and kind of interject in a conversation. But I do like to repeat everyone's name. So, Adam, Bob, Stacy, Marie. So just, and then in the event that you ask a follow-up question, then I'll say, hey, Marie, I noticed, you work in HR, how have you found XYZ? Using names right away in conversations will help you retain what their name is. Something else that I actually also note on Blink is what they were wearing. Just to go back again in memory, after meeting a lot of people, usually knowing what they wore, what they look like, if there was something like glasses or earrings or what have you, just to say like, oh, okay, I remember, Marie had a beautiful mustard blouse on. So what you'll also find is as you're in a group, there are the talkers, the listeners, and then kind of the in-betweeners is what I like to call them. And then this could be your extroverts, your introverts, and then the in-betweeners. I sometimes find myself kind of being the listener to in-betweener, but kind of identifying who those individuals are and also keying into that, because also what I find is individuals that do tend to have that talk a lot from a personality standpoint can be a little bit more relational, and having that opportunity to talk and get to know one another is really important for them. I like to ask the folks that are listening questions, just to have them get out of their shell a little bit and hear and see if there's anything that I could potentially add value or make a connection to them. So kind of identifying who's who and how you want to navigate a conversation can vary. How to insert yourself and exit a conversation. Sometimes, let's just be honest, this can be awkward. So it's like you're trying to get into a circle that's mid-conversation. I like just making eye contact with folks, maybe giving a nod or a smile, and then join the conversation. Sometimes you may have to go back around and introduce yourself. That's okay. Again, just building in that confidence of just go ahead and join a group or a circle that's having a conversation, and then ask a question right away. How to exit a conversation. I usually like to do the bathroom, water, or something like that, of just hey, I've really appreciated this conversation. I do need to head out for XYZ reasons. And just taking that initiative. I think more maybe we've all find ourselves in a situation where we're kind of being talked out of a conversation, but just saying, hey, I greatly appreciate the information you're sharing, but having an intentional pivot will feel good for you, and hop to the next one, right? Continue to be flexible throughout that experience, and also being a connector. So by being a connector, I just mean if you know someone that would find value in the services or the organization of the person that's in front of you, making a note of that. Because I find, when I've had times in my life where I feel deflated, or I feel like I'm not maybe where I'm at, where I want to be or what have you, being able to give and sew into someone else feels so rewarding. And then seeing them light up. So I really try my best as I'm having networking experiences to make connections where I can. And then it's all parties feel great. It's somebody could have a potential client, somebody would have a service that provides a hole in a gap, and then you are the connector. One other piece, especially from a virtual standpoint, is searching for audience members on LinkedIn. So actually all the women, I'm pretty sure I hit everybody, but everyone that was on the panel or spoke today, when I saw their name, I was on LinkedIn and I'm like, hey, it was great to share the virtual stage with you. And that is networking within its finest in the digital age that we live in. So the women that you're connecting with and that you see on the comment section, that's a great way to search them on LinkedIn, or hey, and I really loved that book recommendation I'm going to grab it on Amazon or something like that. That's another really good way to leverage your connections in this organization in a virtual way. So last couple slides here. Thank you for hanging with me. The follow up and follow through. So this is where I find is the lost piece to networking is the follow up and follow through. So I usually recommend within 24 to 48 hours of that virtual event or of that physical event that you went to, block off 30 minutes and follow up with the people that you felt a genuine connection with. I remember I was in prep for a conference that I had gone to in March, and one of the speakers had just recommended, like, with the people that you just didn't connect with, toss their cards. And I'm like, weird. Like, why would you do that? And I had an example quick that I wanted to share. I was at an event, and it was in the beginning, it was just kind of like a happy hour situation. So it was just open networking and conversations. And then it was a breakout. We had sat down for a presentation, and this guy had approached the table and just handed out all of his business cards, said his name, and then sat down. And it was a very like polarizing experience because it's just like, whoa, dude, like there was no connection. Like it was very one way here and I'm done. Like I did not feel connected with, and needless to say, he was a card I tossed because the vibe just wasn't there. And at the end of the day, we want to do business with people that we like and trust. And if you just didn't mesh well with someone, that is completely okay. And I encourage you to own that. So figuring out, who did I connect with most? Who was incredibly memorable? And I like to throw in a call first. Sometimes I'll follow up with a text message or an email, depending, and then make a note to follow up again. I believe I included in one of my links that I shared of my Calendly. So you can create a Calendly for free. It's an online scheduling platform. So if you have Zoom or Google Meet or what have you, it can connect what the meeting platform is. And then folks can automatically go in, pick a day, pick a time to set up with you. I also don't mind just saying like, hey, can you meet on Thursday at 2:00? Great. And then we've got it. But yeah, so utilizing Calendly is a really great platform to getting meetings scheduled and putting kind of the onus, whether it's on them or if you want to set it up, that's totally your call. Lastly, last two pieces, connecting on LinkedIn and then setting a follow-up reminder for follow-ups if you haven't heard back from them, or if you wanted to connect with them and you guys kind of lost touch. So in conclusion, once again, thank you so much for the time and attention. Those are precious pieces that you can give. So I greatly appreciate it. It comes down to proper preparation will lead to peak confident performance and experience in a networking event. So look good, feel good, and be your most authentic self. Figure out what that selective handout is, physical, digital, both, a mix of both. I would highly encourage. And let's connect. So something that I wanted to throw out, this is actually, I typically don't do this often, but for those that did want to go ahead and connect on Blink and or LinkedIn, you'll be added to a virtual hat and selected for a bonus coaching, 45-minute coaching session with myself. So would love to connect with all of you. And once again, I really greatly appreciate the time and look forward to connecting. So hope you were able to pull some actionable tips and tricks to make your networking more effective. With that, I will hand it back to Ginger.
Well, thank you so much, Sandra. And then do you have time for a few of the questions that came in for our Q&A?
Yeah, totally.
All right, well, let's go through our that came in from Danielle early in your presentation. And she says, I know you talked about it, but how do I introduce myself when I am unemployed and looking?
Great question. So, I mean, I guess it depends if you're looking for specific vernacular. I mean, I would just say I'm in the job market looking for my next opportunity or something along the lines of that. If you have an idea of what you're looking for, I would say that would be a good opportunity to say that, like, hey, I'm pursuing options right now in HR, or forensics is, for whatever reason, forensic science is coming, or law, or what have you. So that's how I would probably address that, is just, hey, my name is Sandra. I'm currently looking for opportunities in HR as a director, or in recruitment, etc. So that's typically how I would encourage making that introduction.
Wonderful advice. Thank you. I have a few more questions. Here's one that just came in from Lauren. And she says, how do you remind people who you are when you follow up? I do not like to use physical descriptors.
Absolutely, good one. So in terms of a follow-up, and I just did some of these follow-ups today, so I can give you an example of something I did this morning. So I met a woman, her name's Kate. We met at an event called Empower Link, AEC. So I just said, hey, Kate, this is Sandra Kenly. We had met briefly at Empower Link. We sat at a table together and had meaningful conversation, and I just wanted to follow up and see if there was any opportunity for collaboration. So I would link it to either a location that you met at, so like at the table, at the bar, by the hors d'oeuvres or something like that. So a physical, like a physical marker versus like physical meaning like their clothing, or what you were wearing. And then if they're, what the memorable piece of the conversation was. So when I had brought up leadership, she was like, oh, like that was kind of like a light bulb moment that I noticed for her. So like that would be something of just like, hey, I know we had talked about leadership and I saw that spark. Can you kind of break out what that was? So that's, yeah, either the physical location where you met or the something that stood out in the conversation itself.
Thank you so much for sharing that. All right,
Yep.
Let's see what other questions we have. Here's a funny one from Hannah. And she says, because it's two questions. The first question is, how do you search for these networking events? First question. Second question is, also, I appreciate the hustle, but how do you say no to someone that is maybe hustling me? No, I'm not joining your multi-level marketing group.
I hear you and totally respect that. Been there, done that with a bag of chips, like my dad likes to say. So here are a couple resources that I have found. And again, finding the right fit for you is important. There are specific organizations that are tailored to marketing. So if you have ever heard of, it's called ACA. It's the it's like American something. Let me see if I can pull it up as I'm having a conversation. But ACA is a good platform for networking. BNI is another platform. So it is, okay, so I guess it's called ACA Network, Building Relationships Across the World. So if you just, look at ACA Network. BNI is also, it is like a group that you have to join. That's another one. I also recommend your local chamber of commerce, and also in neighboring cities as well. So I know we've got a chamber of commerce in Kansas City, and then the surrounding suburbs. Typically, those are like small to mid-sized level companies that are going there. Sometimes you got some big corporations too. Going to chambers, going to Rotary. Rotary is also another one that I have found successful. Looking online, Eventbrite is a good one. There's a lot of women's organizations that have ongoing events. Also, if you identify under, let's say, African American or Hispanic or of an Asian descent, typically there are DE&I organizations or under the realm of African American. I know there is a lot of networking events tailored to African Americans as well. So just Googling it, kind of playing around, but some of those specific networking platforms like ACA, BNI, but it's finding the right fit for you. Some of them are local, some of them are also nationwide, and then you can go wherever they're like located. Like ACA is nationwide. I think BNI might be too. But.
All right, well, I think we're going to one more question and then we'll wrap for the afternoon. So
Cool.
Una says, you are so confident. How have you learned to engage with others or join that conversation?
Yeah, it was a muscle I had to build. I'll be honest with you. I remember going into networking events, sweating my butt off. My hands sweating, right? It's kind of that awkward. Somebody's going to shake my hand and my hands sweat. So truly, like confidence, I feel like is something that is a muscle that is grown and developed, and it's kind of just like being willing to put yourself in that environment. And someone on the panel had said, change is hard and change is difficult, right? But just taking that first step of getting yourself in an environment will kind of naturally allow you to be in that uncomfortable space. And then as you keep putting yourself in that, you'll continue to build and gain confidence. So, I mean, in terms of engaging others, I think investing in your development. So whether that's, going to networking, I find a lot of networking events typically have a speaker and like something on personal development or what have you. And also investing in like books on how to engage. One of my favorite books is Everyone Communicates, You Connect by John Maxwell. Love that book. I pull some of my teachings actually from that. And in terms of joining a conversation, really making eye contact is if you are in a physical environment, just making eye contact, smiling. Typically, I mean, I haven't had it where somebody has like rejected me from a circle, and I really hope that wouldn't be the case because it's like you're at a networking event. Why wouldn't you include somebody in your circle? But yeah, just making eye contact and smiling. And I would encourage you, even when you're at a store, like you don't even have to be at a networking event. I think just working on making that eye contact and smiling in your everyday life, you'll notice something in yourself. And then you'll notice something about other people. I mean, you never know how far a smile can go. So something simple, but it can really go a long way with people.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. So as we wrap for the afternoon, do you have any final words of wisdom for all of our viewers today?
Yeah, once again, just thank you so much for the time and your attention. I truly would love to connect with each and every one of you. Just to learn about you and how I can help. But I think at the end of the day, what I have found working with friends, family, clients is we all have seeds of greatness and keys of greatness within us. It's just having the courage to pull those out and put them in a lock to open it up and walk through the door. So just just pull those keys out and yeah, would encourage that and cheer you on in that confidence development.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you to all of our speakers today, both our panel members and our keynote speakers, and thank you to all of our viewers as well. Without all of you, these events would not be possible. So until next time, this is Ginger Whatley signing off. Have a great evening, everyone.